This is the passion flower that's part of the colour that you can find in the Manchester School of Embroidery book. It's the fourth motif in the series, and the previous three had clear instructions. This one is slightly more complicated in the sense that they don't give you exact numbers of stitches at times. As you work through these motifs, they get progressively more difficult, and the last one in particular was quite a challenge. So I'm going to show you how to make this, and I'll also show you at the end some of the applications of this particular motif. So to get the pattern, I've opened my laptop on the Antique Pattern Library website, and I go to Catalogue, and then I choose Technique, and I go to Irish Crochet, and now this is the book, Needlecraft Practical Journal, a practical journal descriptive and illustrative of Irish crochet lace. I open the PDF, and now I scroll through to the collar. I find this an excellent book to learn with because the motifs go from simple to harder, and they explain quite well how to do things. So this is the passion flower, and these are the three previous motifs I made, and this is the passion flower motif. The descriptions on the previous page, I'll make it a little bit bigger here. So here we go. It says, this is a handsome sprig which looks very well in a border design. A mesh measuring 1 3/4 inches circumference is necessary for this sprig. Possibly the tip of a finger or thumb may suit. So then they explain how to go on to make it, and the flower itself comes in 3 parts. So you make the flower, and then you make the stamens, and you sew them on afterwards. So I'll get set up to go now. Before I start, I want to show you a problem I encountered. I bought some new number 10 thread, and I normally buy my thread in bulk several times a year, but I had run out of number 10, so I ordered a ball of number 10 thread from a website I don't normally use, but it's a very good crafting website. And when I bought it, I didn't realize this thread isn't mercerized. It's very, very soft. If you look at it, it's very soft and very pliable and very fluffy. And the normal thread I use, this isn't number 10, this is number 20, but it's mercerized, so it means it's harder and shinier, and it's much, much easier to work with. So what I found was, when I was making the center ring, I just couldn't get the ring covered properly. I kept on getting fluffy bits sticking out, and it doesn't look very pretty or very regular. So I realized this soft, unmercerized cotton is much, much harder to work with. So I advise you to make sure that when you buy your thread, you make sure you use mercerized thread. On most packets, it will describe the thread as mercerized. So here's an example. It says Mercer cotton. So I advise to make sure that when you use the cotton for making lace, you use mercerized cotton. So the first thing we need to do is make a ring, and they say you need a mesh measuring 1 3/4 inches. We don't have meshes anymore. I wouldn't know where to buy them, but I found that an AA battery is exactly 1 3/4 inches in circumference, so I'll be using that. And as I explained previously, I'll be using my number 20 thread because that's mercerized and it'll be easier to work with. So the first thing I'm going to do is wind the thread 15 times around the battery. You don't want to do it too tight and also not too loose because you need to slide it off and you don't want any loops to form while you're crocheting. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And now I'm going to get my thread ready. I'm using number 80 thread and a 0.6 hook. So I gently slip the thread off the battery, stick in my crochet hook, and now here you start seeing the first difference with the other patterns. You are not told how many stitches you need to cover the ring, so it's your own judgment. You just want the ring covered, but it doesn't matter how many stitches it takes. So you cover it with single crochet. It says double crochet in the pattern, but that's because they use a different terminology. So after I've covered the ring, I make a slip stitch into the first stitch, and now we're going to join the cord. Again, I'm going to be using my number 20 thread rather than my number 10 thread because of the problems. And when you look at the instruction, it says to make it says take 2 lengths of padding thread and double them to make a cord of 4 strands. So for this one they want 4 strands. So here I have my 4 strands of padding cord, and what I do, I stick my hook through and make a single crochet. So there it's attached, and I'm going to add another single crochet along just to secure it a little bit better. There we go. And now we're going to make the first petal on the flower. And the next bit of the instruction says, work 20 double over the cord, 4 strands. So 20 double means 20 single crochet. So there we go, 20 single crochet over the cord. I just gently pull so that every stitch is more or less even. And then it says leave the cord, turn. So I turn it. Then it says 1 double, 17 treble, 2 double along the 20 double. So what they mean is 1 single, so you always take 1 step down, and then 17 double. So 17 double, and now 2 single. And then it says 1 single stitch in the ring and turn. Now, if you read further on, it says these 7 petals should occupy 2/3 of the ring, leaving a space of 1/3 between the first and last petals. So if you look at the flower, they want you to cover 2/3 of the ring and leave 1/3 free. So this is where you are not getting an exact instruction of using the next stitch on the ring. So that means you don't need to use the next stitch on the ring, but you can leave a little space between them, because you're going to end up having to make 7 petals between you're going to have to make 7 petals on 2/3 of the ring. So I always leave a few stitches open, make a single crochet on the ring, turn, and now it says 5 double, 14 treble, and 1 double along the previous row. So by double they mean singles. So I'm going to make 5 singles, and now I make 14 treble, which means double. So I know it's confusing when you keep on using different terms, but a double means passing the thread over once over your hook, and a treble would mean passing it twice. But that's in modern terms. This is a different, they use different names. Now we do another single crochet in the last stitch, and then we need to do a slip stitch, because it says a single crochet, but as I said, it's one step down, so we need to do a slip stitch in the base of the first stitch on the previous row. And now we do 2 double over the cord alone. So 2 double over the cord alone, we go back onto the cord, 1, 2, and then I always stretch it a little bit to make sure it's lying flat. Turn, and now turn the cord over, and now you do single crochet all along the last row over the cord. So you've got the cord between your hook and the thread. So the next instruction is pull the petal into shape as may be necessary and work 2 double over the cord into the ring. So I make sure that the petal can lie flat. And as I said previously, you don't have to use the next stitch on the ring. You can space it out a bit because you're going to have to try and stay so that's the first petal done. To make the second petal, you're going to join this petal to the previous petal by using this first 7 single crochet over the cord of the previous row. So you skip the 2 stitches you made into the ring, so it's the 3rd stitch, and again over cord you make 7 single crochet. You pull the cord, make sure everything is even, and then it says it's exactly the same as the first, but the first 7 stitches are attached, so we need to make another 13 single crochet over the cord, because on the first petal we had to make 20. So now we make 13 single crochet, again we adjust the cord slightly, and then we turn, and then we do exactly the same as for the first petal. So we turn, we do 1 single crochet, and then 17 doubles followed by 2 single, and then back into the ring. One into the ring. Again, I'm skipping a few stitches, and then we turn, make 5 single crochet along the petal, so it's exactly the same as the first one now. Over the cord with single crochet up to the ring, make 2 stitches over cord in the ring, and then start a 3rd petal. So you do that until you've got 7 petals. Two into the ring, and again I adjust the cord. There we have the 2nd petal. So I work my way around until I have my 7 petals, and then we'll start on the stamens. So here's the flower finished. As you can see, I've spaced the petals out so that there's about a 1/3 left on the ring, and you also need to make sure you leave plenty of thread left so that you can sew the cord in.